Welcome to DMV Spotlight here in the nation's capital, where we shine a light on the issues impacting D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. I'm Barbara Britt. Well, the D.C. area has no shortage of military installations. It's one of the things that makes us the nation's capital and surrounding. People who have chosen to dedicate their lives to military service to help protect our nation. And my guest today is part of a nonprofit that is dedicated to helping those in military service then transition to civilian life through an organization called Veterans Next Mission. And I want to welcome my guest today, Mike Shockley. He's the Vice President of Sales, Marketing, and Fundraising for the 501c3 Veterans Next Mission. Thank you so much for joining me today on DMV Spotlight.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Well, how did this all come about? I mean, obviously, we know over the years that it's difficult sometimes, and maybe sometimes not, when people who have spent their lives dedicated to military service, whether in wartime or not, when they come back into civilian life, there's sort of a now what step. How did this all come together?
Yes, ma'am. Well, our founder and CEO, Bob Luckett, he's a 40-year master builder. He's had a career in home building. He's a recognized master builder through NAHB, which is the National Association of Homebuilders. He ran a successful company for years and was comfortably retired and consulting part-time because Bob is one of those people that can't sit home. So he was in Arlington, and as the story goes, there's a man in the median with a sign, "Veteran will work for food." Bob had been contacted by several of his colleagues about an up-and-coming trend in construction called deconstruction, which is rather than knocking down a house and hauling it to the dump, it's carefully deconstructed. Anything that can be recycled is recycled, and whatever else is in the unit is left for us to salvage and try and sell. So Bob put together a team of veterans and started deconstructing homes. Now, Bob is a decorated Vietnam veteran himself, so he knows exactly the hardships that face some of our vets when they come back and try to enter into civilian workforce. So he put the whole thing together and thought, heck, I'm a master builder. Why not teach them how to build on top of the deconstruction? So he asked me if I would join, give him a hand, and I did so about 5 years ago, and we've been growing ever since.
That is absolutely fantastic. Talk about using what you have to help others. But Mike, for those of us who may or may not be in the military and may not understand fully or be able to appreciate what it is like for veterans coming home, particularly those who have been in service overseas or in combat, what is it? What is the like? What is it like? What is the struggle?
Yes, ma'am. Most of our folks that come through the program are infantry, and for a while we were heavy on machine gunners, and those aren't really skills that translate in the civilian workforce. So a lot of these people are, they like the team environment. They like working with their hands. They like being outside. They like being fairly independent, not being in a locked in an office all day. So it's an option for those folks, but college isn't for everyone. And trade schools are. I think they were dying out for a little while, but now we recognize the need for tradespeople, and that's just what makes Veterans Next Mission a viable option for someone.
That is just awesome. And so tell us about some of you don't have to use people's names, but tell us about some of are they mostly men, Mike, who come through, or are there women as well? And tell us about their journeys and what it's been like working with Veterans Next Mission.
Yes, ma'am. So majority are men. We have had a few females, but the majority are men, and they come through, and I see it every single day. I see these guys that come in green, that really don't know what they want to do with themselves, and think that maybe construction or contracting is an option for themselves, so or for their future. So they come in, and some of them, cycle out naturally. Some of them complete the program. It's a 4-year program designed to, once we graduate these folks from the program, they can come back and work for us as a trainer, or we help them with job placement. Bob knows a lot of people in the industry, and can help with job placement. So, watching them progress from folks that haven't held a saw or used a power tool in their lifetime. Now they're working on their own, installing kitchens and baths, and it's inspiring.
That is absolutely amazing. And then I know you're part of the sales and marketing and fundraising. How do you get the word out to the community that, hey, this is an option? I mean, we all of us know that watching the housing market, that it's just been absolutely kerflooey with COVID and now coming out of it, and maybe a recession, maybe not. But that we know that in the D.C. area at large, and of course across the country, there is really a housing shortage. So how does Veterans Next Mission fit into that?
Okay, so there are two sides to Veterans Next Mission. There's the nonprofit side, which is the training of the veterans, and then there's also the construction side, which is it's sometimes it's a tough fence to straddle, because we operate as a for-profit company would, but we're also a nonprofit. So most of our revenue comes from the jobs that we do, from these projects that we build. So we get out and I market us as contractors. We are Class A contractors with a ton of experience in Bob, and we market and sell these jobs. And then we put the trainees in to perform.
So they help with the labor.
Yes, ma'am, 100% of it.
And has that been a selling point? Has that been a boost to the business side of it?
I believe it has. There are people that really appreciate what we're doing, and have decided to go with us versus a for-profit contractor for that reason. And the people that, there are a lot of people out there that really back our military. So it's nice to hear that from folks. Hey, look, whatever we can do for the veterans, please build us a $500,000 addition, or, a $50,000 deck, or whatever it is in between. It's a good feeling to know that you've got a community that's behind you. For the most part, it's, I think it's a level playing field between us and everyone else, but, some people are really empathetic to the plights of the veterans.
Have there been some, I guess we'd call them success stories, Mike, that have stuck with you in the 5 years that you've been part of this mission? Sure.
There have been several of our guys I consider it them being poached, but they come in to the program, and once they've got a skill set, sometimes they can be lured out of the program, and they're making good money what they're doing, and we were able to train them and give them those skills, and hopefully they progress outside of our organization. But the ones that do stick around typically become trainers. So we hold on to those folks, and when they're ready to move on, we help them get their contractor's license. We'll sponsor them, so they can start their own business. We typically we do have a deal with American Military University, where any one of our graduates is automatically scholarshiped into the AMU for up to a bachelor's degree, and it's an mostly online university, but we haven't seen anybody take advantage of that yet, but it's there for them if they want to do it, which is great. Learn how to run a business while you're learning the skills to perform in the business.
That is just absolutely fantastic. Have you ever had a reunion with all your guys who've come through the program?
I wish. We've lost a lot of really good ones, and I'd love to see where they are now. But no, we have not yet done that. It's only 5 years, 5.5 years old.
That is really great. And talk to us about the challenges that, like any contractor, I'm sure, who's been through COVID, the supply chain delays, trying to get your building supplies in. Has Veterans Next Mission also had to deal with that?
A little bit here and there. Again, credit Bob. Bob Luckett is pretty well connected. He's had relationships for decades with different suppliers, and we didn't really run across anything. And we don't do super high volumes, but we do enough where we could have been impacted. But I think Bob, again being military, has the foresight to get in front of that stuff.
That is great. Now, I also know, and I think we just missed it. I'm speaking today with Mike Shockley. He is with Veterans Next Mission, a 501c3 nonprofit that helps veterans transition from military life to civilian life, training them in the construction trade. That you all just had your big golf tournament in May, but obviously, probably you'll have it again next year?
Yes, ma'am. I think the date for next year is... you know what? I don't know the exact date, but I think it's the weekend after Mother's Day in May.
Very good. And then where do you have it, and do you get a good turnout?
So the folks over at Stonewall Golf Club in Gainesville do a great job for us. They help us put on a really good show. The first year we had almost a full field, and a couple of years in between we've had a full field. COVID really that was a real impact for us. COVID on the golf outing, but we're able to raise some money through that. We've had some celebrities out there come out on their dime and as guest speakers. We've had upper level military officials. We've had Jeff Bostic, former Redskin, was out there with us a couple of years ago. Mark Mosley has been there the last 2 years. Redskins kicker and NFL MVP. He's been out there the last 2 years, so you never know who's going to show up, but it's always a great time. It really is. A lot of really good people out there. Wounded Warriors come out there and play for free. It's a wonderful event.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And over these 5 years, Mike, how many veterans do you think you have assisted onto either continuing to work with you or onto the next phase of their career?
I don't know that I could put a number on that. I'm not on that side of it, but dozens, I would say. Yeah, I would say it would be hard for me to. That's a question for Bob.
That's totally fine. I didn't mean to stump you. I guess the other thing I wanted to go back to for a moment, you mentioned at the beginning how important the teamwork aspect is. Obviously, when you're building anything, you need to work together. What has that meant for these veterans to be on the same job site together, producing something with their hands that they could stand back then in a few months and look at and say, we did that?
Yes, ma'am. That feeling of accomplishment that any one of us can feel after doing it, even something like mowing the lawn, and you go out and you look at it like, wow, that looks really nice, But these guys are building, upwards of $200,000-$300,000 projects, and when they're done, there's that you see it. Some of them say, I just want to put my autograph on this somewhere. They really feel it. It's some of these builds are just such an accomplishment. We just finished a barn / 3-car garage out in Fairfax Station, which turned out beautiful. I mean, it was something else. And the guys were as the most recent example, the guys were so proud of that. And I'll tell you, they really did a great job out there. So, you see it in their faces, their comments, their smiles, and it's a good feeling.
That's amazing. And let me just close by asking you the website if folks are listening and they want more information, Mike.
Yes, ma'am. www.veteransnextmission.org is the website, .org. If you're looking, if you may know somebody that this program could benefit, there's plenty of information there. If you or anybody listening may know somebody that thinks that this organization might be able to benefit someone they know, please let us know, and we're happy to talk to you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I've been speaking today with my guest, Mike Shockley, with Veterans Next Mission. And I want to thank you for joining me today on DMV Spotlight. I'm Barbara Britt, and join us again next week at this same time for DMV Spotlight.